Now, in Mississippi Valley, we will spray down some Coke syrup in the turns, so it'll be really sticky.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. You just mix basically the syrup in the bag for fountain soda. Mix it with water and spray it on there, and then if you walk out there, you can just it's like I don't know fly paper. It's very tacky. You can hear yourself. You can feel it. That cement is very new, a much newer building than the QCCA Expo. So that's a whole different turn experience. You could hit those really, really hard.
BMX Breakthrough is bridging the gap from old school to new school, from tracks to manufacturers, from new riders to their local tracks, and it doesn't stop at racing, but the mission is to connect people with bikes. Join me, Jay Oaks, as I interview key people in the sport and in the industry that are involved in their local circles, in their communities, at their local tracks, and aiming to make a difference on a local level. You'll hear stories, marketing tips, failures, successes, and a way to make a difference in your local BMX community. Let's dive in as we kick off this next episode.
Man, Paul, I'm excited to chat with you. This is exciting. We've got, I think, two things. We're going to talk about some BMX, but
Sure.
we came out of this concrete racing weekend, and Paul, give us the two biggest takeaways, the two most important stats to hit on for the weekend.
It's no injuries and ice cream cones. Yeah, 150 ice cream cones. But yeah, the sales were really good. The kids were eating ice cream cones all over that place. It was funny to see, and that place has got legendary ice cream cones, so that is nice. And the people at the expo center, the concession people, they're all volunteers, and they're very nice to us and just nice people. And they really like our event. They've already sent us messages, looking forward to next year, which is great to hear from a place that you're renting for a month, and you hope you're a good renter while you're there. This is 15 years now, so we've got a relationship with them, and it goes pretty good in there. They're really nice to us.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah, I think what was it, Sunday after the race, the gentleman came up to you and said, "Yeah, that's a record. 115 ice cream
Yes.
cones."
Yeah.
And that was on Saturday. Was that for the World Series of Concrete? The first one?
I think it was the second one. I
Okay.
think the first one was 115. After the race after that, I think was 150. We were there
50.
till 9 o'clock, so that would have been 265 ice cream cones
That's
in one
it's
complete day.
it's still pretty awesome. I mean, that was cool. Okay, so
It
talking
was
about
cold out.
that day, there was a ton happening on that Saturday.
Yes, that was the most BMX we've thrown into one day in a long time. When we first moved into that building, in 2011, we were NBL at the time, so we were running every race total points, but we were running double headers. NBL would let us run double headers, so we'd run two races, but they weren't nearly as big as these races. That particular day, the first race on Saturday was 55 motos with a handful of extracurricular races, and then the second race, the state qualifier, was 70 motos. So that's all packed into one day. That's not really heard of very often, out on the racing scene across the United States. And it made Sunday seem like a walk in the park. Sunday's race just breezed right through. So, and that was a 62 moto race, which I think the fastest round was clocked in at 70 motos in 35 minutes. So
Yeah.
they were clipping away pretty quick, which is pretty cool. That
Which
means things are working good.
Yeah. No, it made Sunday feel really short, honestly. And
Yeah.
I didn't know how long. You had told me that motos ran quickly. Um and because the motos are less than 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
so you had told me that everything runs really quickly. And so I think I had this anticipation that, oh, like we'll be out of there pretty quickly. I don't think I expected. I think I got to the track around 10 a.m. and we didn't leave until what, 9:30 p.m. on Saturday?
On Saturday, yeah, that was a long day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I mean, nearly 12 hours, and I
Strict-
wasn't even one of the lead volunteers, so I'm sure that they were there even longer than I was.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The that was a very BMX filled day. So many things going on, and you're just trying to control it all to a point and keep it together. And I think everybody did really good. Our volunteers are phenomenal at what they do, and each one is kind of got their own thing that they're good at, and we try not to get in the way of any of those people. You don't mess with Megan in backstaging. She's got it. She's gonna do her job, and she does a great job.
What was it on Friday? So for those that don't know, we raced on Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday at noon, Saturday at 4 p.m. Well, it ended up being about 5 p.m.
About 5. Yep, about 5.
And then on Sunday we raced Gold Cup, but it was funny because after racing on Friday, Megan walked away and she goes, "I quit." And I said, and so then the next day I saw her and I said, "Was it because of me?" And she said, "No." And just to be fair, I think I quit every single day.
She does. Yeah, that's very common for her to quit and then immediately come right back.
It was great. But no, to your volunteers, and I'm sure that some of them will hear this, but you have a phenomenal team.
Yeah.
They are, I mean, you gave them a lot of props and a lot of credit in the first episode that we did. And now we're doing this concrete weekend recap, and your team is phenomenal, and you credited them for not being able to do this without them. And I can see that because your team is next level.
Yeah, there's so much going on. There's people, Reeves and Scrouther on the gate. They got it wrapped that morning. They get to the track early. They're blowing it off with the leaf blowers, re-greasing the hinges on the gate. Stuff that you don't see. These guys are it's like we're on tour with a band, and they set the show up, and they just and it's a pretty involved situation, a pretty big show, a party for 700 people, and then they just come in and do their stuff. You don't even have to. I would compare it to like setting up a rock concert, and everybody's got their thing. All the stage people are doing all their things to get the show to go off without a hitch. And even when there are issues, if things go my way and there are some major issue, you'll never know about it. You know what I mean? It gets swept under the rug. It gets taken care of behind the scenes. We're all looking at each other going, I can't believe we fixed that in the nick of time, and we're back. You know what I mean? But I don't like to give it up too much and say we're having issues. I just like to keep pushing, and then after the fact go, man, I can't believe we got through that one.
Well, just like you were saying, if you're comparing it to a rock concert, I mean, I'm not a musician, you are, but the idea that if you play something wrong, you just pretend like it was the right way to play it.
You don't give it any second thought, and you move on.
Because nobody knows. Nobody in the crowd knows.
That's the sign in in music. To me, that's what part of being a professional is. You know what I mean? You broke a string for the last 2 songs and nobody really noticed except the couple people in front of you, and you just kept going and you played all the same stuff and you didn't let it take you out, or bother you. So our crew is incredible. And, it changes, lately the last handful of years, it's been kind of the same for the most part. A few people show up, new people and stuff, but we've had a kind of a core group that's been working together, and we can run races in the dark without any lights on. I mean, we could do stuff that other people can't do quickly and efficiently. It's just, there's a system going on, and it is not it's not written down on a piece of paper or anything like that, but we just have done it so many times. And in an event, I don't like a ton of dead time or dead space in between things. I try to keep things moving with very little delay, or I like to let people know we need a few minutes. You know what I mean? I try to do that sort of thing, because when you're at a race and the microphone goes silent and nothing is happening, that's tricky. I was getting that way a little bit during those trophy dashes. I was getting that feeling that I was like, I want to keep this going, but we have figured out ways to do that now, where we can be more efficient with our trophy dashes. So I'm not worried about it. It was a first time thing. We needed a little time there to get those things packaged up right.
And we've got to have a baseline.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a starting point.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, and we can totally improve on that. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, so let's run through a few of the celebratory highlights, and you and I can go back and forth kind of talking about some of the cool things that happened, because I'd like to, be able to just kind of give a barrage of wins from the weekend, because in my mind, it was really cool. It's something that I've never experienced. I've never raced on concrete before, and can't come into this, have no idea what to expect other than what my imagination has showed me in a couple of the videos that I've seen from you. But let's in an effort to promo next year's event, let's talk about some of the really cool things that happened. I'll let you kick us off.
Well, I think what you got from it, what some other guys got from it, is it puts a smile on your face. You might have just got dead last and you're coming over the finish line going, I just got dead last. I was in first. I was in fifth. Now I'm in last. And you're really not that mad about it. You just want another crack at it, So it delivers a different BMX feeling. It's quick and you can regroup and get ready for the next run and be back in the game. You don't have to, the day's not over if you have a bad moto, you just get right back in there. So that's pretty cool. I was happy to see we had over 14 states of different people show up, and you and your dad were a couple of those states. So going forward, I would like to expand on that. You know what I mean? I want more people in there. I thought the concept of the BMX World Series of Concrete, I think it went over. It was
a brief interruption to shout out and thank our sponsors that have joined us so far on the 2025 BMX Breakthrough Mission: Dan's Comp, Command Aviation, Sound Cedar Lumber, and Danger Snacks. Thank you so much for believing in what we are doing and being a part of what we're doing. If you are listening or watching, make sure you check out the links in the description in order to support the brands that support us. Again, we are so thankful for your partnership and super excited about what is on the horizon for BMX Breakthrough in 2025. Now back to our episode.
Let's see, 55 motos, 241 riders raced a race for a one-day title with 0 points. And maybe only a few of them realized after the race that there weren't any points involved. But most people knew going in there weren't any points, just cool awards. So I don't know that that's happened lately in the BMX world, where people raced a one-day race and it was exciting. When it came down to those trophy dashes, that's a new thing from way back. And those races were like watching, championship races on the line. All the winners in the gate racing for a 4-foot trophy, winner take all. That was a new thing. And I was getting feedback from people, and I think they liked how hard we were trying to make it a very special event. We were really trying to lay out the red carpet for everybody. The plates from Crypt Plate, I think, were great. The different awards and the combinations of those things were excellent. It made the kids, really go for it. And then, an hour later, technically we didn't start that late because registration would have ended at 4 for the state qualifier. That race would have started at about 4:25 normally. I think we started right at 5. And, we needed to squeak some practice in for the people that didn't get any practice. But So our timing there wasn't bad at all. You know what I mean? When I look at that race would have normally started at 4:25. We took an extra 35 minutes to keep people on the track and kind of make sure we got everything ready. That was a 70 moto race that went right off of a 55 moto race. So
which I think was a win in and of itself, because when you and I first started talking about the World Series of Concrete, is that your words were, I would be thrilled if people just had to wait hours
yeah,
beyond what
yeah,
they anticipated. And it wasn't that much time, but people did have to wait. And it was
yeah,
because we had so many riders.
yeah, yeah,
And there's always room for more, but I think you and I were both really pleasantly surprised, considering our planning came out of 6 weeks of promo.
yeah, yeah. I
And
think the promo, I think it was great. You know what I mean? All our raffle prizes at the on the Saturday that we raffled off, that raised $1,135 for the track. The Syndit frame, the DK bike, MCS cassette hubs, Fly Racing gave us some stuff. Green Tree Brewery. We didn't have a ton of raffle prizes. The ones we had were really good, and people bought into that. It was great. So
yeah, people were stoked on it.
I don't know that. I mean, I don't really know that I would change anything from those events other than planning the trophy dashes. You know what I mean? Which is just a technicality that we can. As soon as it was done, Sarah was like, "I know how to do this now," and you know what I mean. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, there you go."
Well, and I think as we move into next year, we've got some good plans. We've already got dates on the calendar, which is exciting. And I wanted to throw out a couple of wins, some things that I thought were cool, which was having never done that before. One of the things was the elbows out racing,
Oh, yeah.
and and I've referenced this before in I think a couple of the episodes, but walking away from, I believe it was Frogtown 3, Eric Carter. It was after all three motos had run, all the mains had run, and EC said, one of the things that I didn't love about the Dirty Fest 1 track was that it gave people some space to spread out.
Oh,
And racing this, it brought people back together on that second corner around the big tree, and a bunch of
yeah,
people back up and got their elbows together. And
sure.
so, in preparation for Dirty Fest 2, he knew what he was going to do, and he did exactly that.
Yeah.
And this reminded me so much of that, because regardless of how fast somebody is, they can't get that much room on you.
No,
There's and anybody can make a split second mistake, which literally could cost them everything.
so many times. You know what I mean? Chris gone, or so he thought.
Well, and what was that trophy dash moto where it was carnage, but then the kid that ended up winning actually missed a hay bale.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We ended up giving him that trophy the next day after we saw some pictures. The guy in second punted that bale out into the track, and the poor kid. We called him Brendan the hand grenade Handley. Now he handed that bale out there, and I couldn't see it from the finish line, other than I could see that the guy leading went around the bale, but he didn't have any choice. So we made an adjustment there the next day, and that was cool. That kid was happy. That was the right thing to do.
But but either way, like you can literally just miss a bale, and it can cost you everything.
Yeah. There were plenty of people. When I'm at the finish line with the scores, they're going, that kid missed a bale, he goes to last. You know what I mean? That things are happening very quickly, and without time to chat about it too much. The next moto's coming. Then when you get gate after gate of 8 riders, then that's some busy scoring. With the new total point system, it's busy, and sometimes during the main events, this Megan would come out onto the track. The scorers would take a second to get their scores together so they could get them to the trophy table. So some additional seconds were having to be weighted there. That system started working good. Megan had it figured out. She'd look at the big motos. A moto of 3, she doesn't have to talk to the scorers. They've got it. But if you got back-to-back, our 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old groups are full gates. and in the expert classes. So those need time to sort out because, I posted a 14 expert video of the main event on Sunday, and it was a yard sale, is what it was. Changed all over the place, So you get one of those, and you got to figure that out a little bit.
Well, yeah, they came around. Was it somebody went down in the first or the second corner, took a bunch of people out, and then the third corner, somebody went down and took a bunch more people out.
Oh yeah, and then you got a guy running out there. The whole people passing. People go out cutting the track. All of that stuff was happening. So it's wild. So sometimes a few extra seconds outdoors, it'll sort out quicker or easier. It'll sort out better. We were getting a lot of close finishes, 2 and 3 riders going for it down those small straightaways. That's exciting. And if you get 4 guys coming around the first turn that stay together, that's like, you're not going to look away. You're going to watch what happens in the second turn. That's the next thing. I got to see how this plays out because, at a regular outdoor race, sometimes they just start running and it's kind of the same thing every time. There's a system that goes on and there's barely any difference from one motor to the next. Sometimes here it's wild excitement every single race. You just watch, and all the different turning techniques, the skidding, the foot out stuff, the no feet on the ground. But the skidding and the fishtailing is a whole different scene to your eyes,
That's wild. These guys are drifting around this corner and they're going into it, they're shifting their weight forward, they're sliding the back end around the corner, and then they're on the gas again.
Yeah, techniques. Some people just, when I see people just make wild comments out there, it's like you just don't know what's happening. And if you haven't done it, you might say stuff like that, but there's so much that goes into some of those racers. If you watch some of the fast, big, super fast kids, there's technique everywhere. It's cool. It's body English, BMX body English is going on all over the place. So it's pretty cool to see the hybrid forms of BMX that are taking place. I've said this in the past, but it's changing the DNA of our riders for BMX racing. You know what I mean? Like our kids are equipped with a skill that not everybody has, and most will never get unless they come here and hang out.
Yeah, 98% of the USA BMX membership has never done this.
And if we could get a fair share of those hot shots from all over the country, some of the NAG riders, it would be interesting to see how they translate onto this. I mean, they're going to figure it out, but the styles that are going to come from it would be pretty amazing to watch. I want to see it. You know what I mean? I know what I see locally here.
Well, is it what's his name? Lucas and I were chatting.
Yeah,
and then he was talking about was it last year or the year before that? Is it Marshall
Gerke come up every winter? He would come up for probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Okay, and he said that Lucas said that he had posted a photo or a video or something, and people go, "That's the dumbest thing. I don't know why you're out there." And he's like, "Man, I love it."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, Marshall Gerke is he's an incredible rider on any terrain there is. So it would be hard pressed for me to hear him say anything, but I'm in on that. He's in on all of that stuff, so.
But I mean, just as positivity or defensiveness against these people saying like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a good time. And if you haven't tried it, and that's the reality, is that if you haven't tried it, you really don't have room to talk about it.
Yeah. You come there and you race and you just stink at it and you hate every part about it, then I can accept everything you say. All right, it just didn't work out. I hear you, But, we had our biggest day, we had 331 riders, and I don't think we're pulling the wool over anybody's eyes out there. It's a blast, and the awards we give away too is also enticing. It's kind of an event that we have it lined up for next year. It might be Next year might be 5 races and 4 straight days, is the way it's looking like on the calendar.
Yeah, because January 1st falls on a Thursday, right?
Yeah, we'd race Thursday night, Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday.
Okay, yeah, because that would be well, and something that I found out from you this last weekend was that you being an indoor track, you get a state race that's a triple.
Correct.
So that makes well this Wednesday it was this year, but next year Thursday would be single, Friday
Single,
would be double, triple
double.
on Saturday, and a no points race, and then a triple on Sunday.
That's what we're hoping for. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
9,900 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, 900 point weekend to start the year off on concrete. Pretty fun.
Which is really cool. And one of the other things that I wanted to mention about my experience there was uh, you go your typical local races. You have a race, maybe we'll say midweek, we'll say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You've got a race on Saturday, and so you get off the track and you have either your 2 or your 3 motos. You get off the track and you're like, I should have done this differently. And whether it's actually practice or a racing moto, and for me, it's usually in the racing moto, I didn't have to wait days or a week or, even a month to go out and try to correct that mistake. It
Yeah,
was within the next 10, 15, maybe 60 minutes that you were
yeah,
waiting.
yeah.
And you could go out there and go, okay, I need to go tighter on this. I need to bring my foot up on this. It was
We
super cool.
yeah we there's so much BMX condensed into that small time period. I don't know in the country that there's that much racing that takes place in that small window of time. Even our first series, our first 8 races was, the first 15 days of December, we did 8 races in 11 days. That's a lot of BMX. And then, on the other side of the January 1st, we did 5 races in 5 days this time, or technically 4 days, 5 total. But
Yeah.
we had great turnouts. This year was the best average rider count we had, consistent moto counts, varying by just a few motos. It was very, very good. And I'm super. I don't know. I'm really proud of the people that help us do it. I just think, those guys. From the gate starter, to ladies in registration and scoring, all that stuff. Because if you take everybody out of there, right, and I'm just standing around trying to put a race on, we're not going to get very far. We need all those different characters filling those spots. You know what I mean? They're part of the production, and they're good at it. So it's fun working with them. It really is.
Well, another point of celebration and point of mention is that, and this is you as the leader of that team, as the track operator, but then your team is every bit a part of this, is that I didn't find anybody on your team who was stressed out and overwhelmed. Now they might have been irritated or overwhelmed, but I never once saw anybody showing it, which is rare at a track.
Oh, I agree.
And
Yeah.
it's incredibly rare. And there was never a time when, you and I were putting together some things. I was asking for some things last minute. There was never one time where your team rolled their eyes because I came and asked them a question.
Sure. Yeah.
And so for those of the Rock Island, Mississippi Valley team, East Moline team that are listening right now, man, that was next level leadership on your part. And Paul, that was amazing because I've worked in a lot of different styles of events, and there's always that moment of, all right, what do you need? And as a parent, every once in a while I do that. All right, what do you need?
Sure.
But I never once felt like I was an inconvenience or it was a problem that I was asking for something. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And that, once again, the people are, I don't know, they're good. We're just trying to run an efficient setup, a really good, a well-oiled machine, good production. When I would play, if I played a great show somewhere, I'd be like, Well, it was that everything was perfect. The sound was great. Everything was awesome. They had a water for me on the side of the stage. That's perfect, you know? So, you know, those are the things I'm looking, sometimes I'm looking at different stuff when I roll up to a track, you know, it's like, you know, I could almost within just a few minutes figure out a few things. You know,
Yeah.
I'm looking at their toilets. I'm looking at how far that stuff's away from the this, the that. You know what I mean? They're not going to have enough. You know what I mean? That's going to create a problem. So I'm looking at. I go to BMX tracks and I'm looking at stuff that, you know, a kid is going to get out of the car and he's going to go right up to the fence, look at the jumps. You know what I mean? Well, I'm going to walk slowly up and look at the bleachers. And I'm going to look at they got a fancy podium over there. You know what I mean? And then I'll look at the distance of the podium from where the trophy thing is and go, oh, that's, you know, I'm looking at different stuff, trying to make it better. You know, we went up to the wire again. We were the morning of the BMX World Series, you know, Mike at Crit Plate overnighted the gate wrap, and we're putting the gate wrap on the gate, you know, which make the pictures look better. You know, when you're taking a picture of the gate, you've got this, you know, beautiful wrap on the front of it. Those are the things that I'm looking at. How's the picture going to look with all that stuff in the background? You know, is Toby at Syndit going to be happy with his banner right there in the pictures? You know, that stuff. If you do it right, it's not hard. It's easier the second time to discuss things with those guys. You know what I mean? And say, hey, maybe you'll come on board for the next one. You know, the DK guys were happy. Mike McHugh was there, and he wants to bring a whole DK setup next year and have a big space for it. And I think that'd be really cool. You know, to get some. It was nice to get Midwest DK in the building. That was pretty cool. So.
It was fun. I've told multiple people that I think my favorite events of the year, hands down, are the old school events, and it's just the community, the culture, the style of racing, the in a lot of ways the lack of points and the just out there racing for the fun of it, and I think that you have a style of modern racing that envelops all of that. And there is the points. There are points, and there were a lot of them to be had this weekend.
Sure.
But at the same time, it was a style of racing that was so community oriented, and the amount of time that you spent at the track was, you know, probably on par with that of a 3-day national, except you actually get a lot of time to hang out with people and get to know almost the whole community.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that's important. You know, a lot of times at most of the races, I sell the 50-50, maybe with Sarah. A lot of times I'll start it out myself and then hand it off. You know, we got a guy, James Cartwright. He usually takes it. He usually takes what I get and then he'll go out and double it or triple it. You know what I mean? But, I think as a track operator, that's a secret. That is, first of all, I think the health of your track could be gauged by the amount of 50-50 you collect regularly. Let's say over the course of a month. You know what I mean? You know, if you're going out and selling 50-50 and you got 60 motos at your track and you get $150 total, you know what I mean? Well, people they're not having that much fun. They're not having as much fun as they would. We got a bunch of players at our track, you know, they play hard, that 50-50, they know we're dumping it back into the program. But as a track operator, that's like, I'll stop right there real quick. You know, I'm an NBL guy from way back. And, you know, I was very good friends with Bob Tedesco, who was Mr. NBL. You know, he was the NBL guy. And one time, it might have been at our track, Bob would post up next to trophies and give out the Saver bucks, the Saver stamps, right? And I don't know if I asked him or if somebody asked him, Bob, what are you doing? What are you doing over here? Why are you doing this? It's the end of the race. He's giving out these stamps. And he's like, because everybody's happy right now. This is like, I get to talk to people. They're in a good mood. They're happy, giving them their stamps. And, you know, it was a very peaceful environment. It wasn't racing combat. It wasn't parents yelling at somebody about something. It was, you know, it was the end of the day. But, you know, when I sell 50-50, I get to talk to everybody in the room pretty much. I get to check in with just about everybody. And you make a lot of friends that way. It's a way to see what's going on out there. I think it's important for the track operator to sometimes be the 50-50 girl. You know what I mean? Or guy, depending. So I like to do that for a little while, and then I like to hand it off. But at our local races, most of the time it's me. I would think Sarah gets out of the registration and she'll sell with me. That's an important position. That's like public relations 101 right there. Getting to know your customers and walking in everybody's tent saying, "Hey, you want to buy a 50-50?" No, I don't. Okay, cool. Good luck. So
Yeah.
those are some tricks that are not thought about in that way to make your to make sure you're everybody there is having a good time, or they can bring up an issue to you or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's something I learned.
And I think that's a huge value is that, you and I had literally met over a Zoom call and over a couple of phone calls and exchanged a few text messages.
Yeah.
And it was fun walking into your shop the first day because, I mean, I felt like I already knew you. It wasn't like I was meeting somebody.
You fit right in.
And and immediately we got to have a conversation, and I could immediately see the chemistry that you had with the patrons of the track, the people that were, like you said, your customer. They're
Yeah.
coming in, they're hanging out at the track.
Sure.
They love being around you, and then just speaking to the level of buy-in and community and commitment that you have is to mention the teardown of the track. And I think in the last episode you talked about it a little bit, but your track was completely out of there in 2 hours.
Yeah, a little over 2 hours, and we weren't setting a speed record. We didn't time lapse it. We've done that in the past, but
Okay.
we were if I set something up and said, "All right, guys, we're going for time," we would have went harder. What's really cool is at the end of our teardown, we give out those raffle tickets to our volunteers that are working, and we give prizes away to our volunteers, and that's kind of become a thing. And even if no matter what you get, we try to have a prize for everybody, but you get something, so we do that for a little bit. On Two Wheels gave us some nice stuff. On Two Wheels Midwest gave us some prizes.
They probably started there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they gave us stuff. I think, Sarah, years ago you said we're raffling it off. But we've turned that into a thing. And our volunteers, it's not much, but it's certainly something. It's better than nothing, and we appreciate them helping. And we take a minute while we're tearing down to draw, 15 or 20 raffle prizes. They pick them from a table, and they've won something, So that is something we've done for a handful of years now. It's pretty, and that's we'll continue to do that.
That's cool. Yeah, anyway, it was super fun to see. Like, definitely encouraging. It was exciting. It was definitely a community relationship that you don't always see. I think there is something to be said about that setup teardown community, that there's camaraderie that's built. I mean, my kids are in a school where they set up and tear down the space that they eat for lunch, and the high school students actually end up doing the setup and tear down every day, and they took it away at one point thinking, oh, the students will love this, and they actually missed it. And and so there is something to be said about the community and the dynamic that's built in those labor intensive moments.
Sure. Yeah. Our setup now is we've got the trailers, we've got things dialed in pretty good. I don't know what I could. I don't know. I mean, I think about it all the time, how we can streamline stuff, or how we can make something a little bit easier, maybe some better tubs to just odds and ends to make the production, so the office can get tore out, when they tear down the office with the computers and all this stuff, because we move in there for a month, making that easy on them, so the show is mobile, I mean, most of that stuff is in Sarah's car right now, driving around with her for another week and a half until we move into Mississippi Valley. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing is next year we just need more people there. We just
Yeah,
need we
double that.
need so those that are listening in preparation for next year and year 2 of the World Series, the BMX World Series of Concrete, we need you there. So what is it the dates that what are those looking like?
First, second, third, January 1st through the 4th.
January 1st through 4th, 2026.
One, two, the third will be the World Series, and hopefully a state race that day. And time will tell on a Gold Cup the next day. That it's a little early to count on that, but that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah. Start working in that direction and start marking things on the calendar. And I know we're still a year out, but I think it's important for people to know one, how rad the event is,
Sure.
but two, to be able to, start getting planned up and prepared. And I think there are a lot of people that saw the advertisement for it and maybe didn't have enough time or were a little bit skeptical. And I think right
Sure.
now we do have a lot of people that are kind of eagerly on the fence waiting for the next opportunity to jump.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I want to expand on that vintage, maybe little vintage show there. I think the guys from Cedar Rapids could put something together there. I would like to get a couple of kind of legends of BMX in the room. Racers. If they want to hang out, that's good. But I'd like them to race. And I think there has to be some kind of a mailer done that targets specific people that are 46 and over cruiser, so we can really send some invitations out. How's that sound? Like the ROC invitation, I think is you know.
yes.
But this will be one that comes from me and a couple other guys as we're like, yeah, let's try to get that guy here. You know what I mean? Well, it won't be.
There we'll have to
Well,
make it a whole thing about having to strip Paul's title
oh,
from him.
already, already, a guy who's getting his cruiser out. Yeah, no, I welcome all that. I wish there was 30 guys. That are in there. It's fun. I mean, I'm glad I got the first one, but yeah, there's going to be more guys for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think in addition, we'd have the modern races, we'll have expanded vintage motos,
Yeah,
and then we'll have focus on having a bike show, having some legends there, and just be able to go a little bit bigger. And at this point, we've got a year for you to put it on your calendars, and got a year for you to make arrangements to be there. But we've got a year to plan as well. So.
um, and I think your dad had a good time too.
Oh, he did. So much fun. I think both of us. It was a lot of racing. My dad commented on that.
Yeah,
What was it, Saturday afternoon? But I mean, even yeah, I did, and Curtis Bland was talking about it, and
yeah.
we were like, I don't think Mike Savage ever gets tired,
No, he did
but
40 or 39 or 40 race motos throughout that weekend.
yeah, because Friday was it?
He's open class and cruiser at
Was he
4 days.
there on Friday? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So he did open class and cruiser Friday, Saturday morning,
Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon, Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then two extra 46 and over cruiser motos, three of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
It's
in pretty
fun. So I definitely started getting towards the end of Saturday, and I said, I'm tired. My dad was tired too. And I went out for a moto, and Curtis goes, Jay, you look tired.
funny. That was good time. Well, I'm glad you got to experience that. I'm glad you came out and brought your dad, and I appreciate you putting us out there, and you got to experience it firsthand, so what's up, which is cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you, Paul. It was so much fun being able to be there, to, like you said, experience it in person, to be able to go. I figured it would be a good time. I will say the strangest thing for me, and I don't know if anybody has had this experience too, but I get to this track and I know that, like, in my mind it's a BMX track, but I go out for my first lap of practice and there are people sitting along the sides of the track and they're watching. And I know that they have far more experience with it than I do at this point because I've never been out on the track.
Your first turn. Yeah.
My first straightaway. I come down the gate, and it still at that point still does not register that it's a BMX track, because it literally felt like I was a kid riding my bike as fast as I could through this parking lot, and now people are watching me and being like, "What's he doing?"
Yeah. Oh, sure. That's great. Yeah. Well, that's the longest flat straightaway in the world right there, and be in a BMX race. I think 120 pure sprinting. So
because then you go into that first corner, and even the first few practice laps is you don't really know what you're practicing just yet, because you don't know how it rides at all. And anyway, it was just this weird kind of surreal moment of like, what am I doing? And then finally figuring it out and starting to get it a little bit, understand it a little bit more. And anyway, it was just so much fun. The elbows out, the side by side, getting to ride with people that, getting to have conversations with Lucas, and getting to meet these other people that have been racing on this stuff for years.
Yeah.
And that was really neat.
Pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. All right. Well, I think that's probably about a wrap. I mean, we just wanted to celebrate the cool weekend that we had. It was fun.
I think it'll. I don't know. We're just gonna work on trying to spread it like wildfire. We raced over 800 motos, in that time period. 800 plus motos were raced. That's a lot of BMX. That's good. So pretty cool. You get to see so much in such a short amount of time, and in incredible races, and then the next one's up, and then the next one, and you forget about it, and then the next one comes. So pretty cool. It's an experience, and I hope it catches on. I want to I want to get in the 100 motos next year. I think there's some room for us to send out some invites to people mid-year, and really get it in their head. You know what I mean? So that could be fun. Coming up.
Well, I mean, your conversation on Facebook with quick conversation in the comments with Stu Thompson. So Stu, this is more than a week's notice. Yeah. We're officially giving you more than a week's notice.
Putting together maybe that wishful guest list, of guys. There's some guys all over the country I'd like to get here. So we'll see what happens. I think we could do it. I do.
Be so fun. And like you said at the beginning, the smiles on the faces are just, man, every time I came across the finish line, regardless of how the race turned out, like I just couldn't stop smiling.
Yeah. It's just fun.
It was a good time.
It's the most fun, I think. I prefer indoor concrete over outdoor dirt. That's internet are like, oh, you should try to get dirt. And it's like, well, we don't want to race on dirt. We want to race on flat turns and this setup. But and
it's a whole lot easier to clean up.
Yeah, for sure.
But January 1st through 4th, 2026.
Yeah.
Those are the dates on the calendar. We want to see you. We'd love to have you. Yeah. Paul, it's been fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for hosting, and look forward to seeing you around. And for those listening, those watching, feel free to reach out if you got questions, and we'll be in touch. We'll continue to post some stuff. So
sounds good.
Paul, we'll talk to you later, and have a good day.
All right. Thanks a lot. Yep. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode. It is because of people like you and our sponsors who make this whole thing possible, because they have a desire to see the sport grow. If you would like to get involved in the mission of BMX Breakthrough, you can start by going to your local track, find a way to volunteer, help out, and serve there. Or you can go to our website, bmxbreakthrough.com, in order to donate, find out about sponsorship, or learn more.